Welcome back to Cafe O'Neill. Last time I was investigating what makes better espresso, WDT or blind shaker. I went with the blind shaker. Now let's look at some espresso ratios. What is an espresso ratio? Well, when you're making your espresso, you're gonna weigh out. In my case, I'm weighing out 22 grams. Weigh out to 22 grams or 18 grams, whichever dose you're using. And a typical ratio is 2-to-1. So you put 22 grams in, put it into the grinder, get 22 grams out. Then when you put it into the portafilter, you're gonna pull until you hit 44. So 2-to-1, 2 times as much water as the coffee that you had put into the portafilter. So that's a normal espresso. Now, what you can also do is you could do a ristretto, Italian for restrained. You hold back so it's closer to a 1-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-1.5 ratio. So for a ristretto, you pull it at 22 grams or you'd pull it at 33 grams. That would be a ristretto. It's restrained. You're not pulling as much water through the coffee. A lot of the extraction is going to happen in the beginning. So you're going to get a lot of the flavors from the espresso and it'll be more intense. But because it's more intense, it might be more acidic, it might have more astringency. And if you go too long, if you go into the lungo, yes, it'll be smoother. It might be, the flavors might be a little bit more muted by all of the different water that goes through, but it might be a little bit bitter because now you're extracting more, even though as you extract, you're extracting less and less per amount of water that's going through. You are extracting more and more, so it might get more bitter. And that might be a little bit too much. So where should you land? Honestly, it's gonna depend on your taste. It's gonna depend on the coffee that you're using. It's gonna depend on a lot of the different factors that go into your subjective opinion about the coffee and the nuances of the coffee that you're using. So for each new coffee that you use in your espresso machine, you might want to do a little bit of a test. One of the ways that you can do a test is by using a salami shot. So you pull the first part, you pull the second part. You could do it like pull 5 different parts of the espresso in order to get an idea of what it is. So today, I'm going to take these 22 grams of coffee. I'm going to pull a shot. And I will try to pull the first 11, second 11, third 11, fourth 11, fifth 11, sixth 11. Both of them are roughly the weight of the espresso that went into it. This one was 23.3 grams and is the first half of the shot. This is 22.7 grams and is the second half of the shot. Originally, I had said I was going to split it into 6 different parts, but I only have 2 cups that weigh the same amount. So in the future, I should get at least 2 more of these in order to be able to do 4 slices of the espresso, or at least 1 more so I could do 3 slices of the espresso. But for now, let's taste this. So this is the Ristretto shot. This tastes good. It has good flavor. It's a little bit acidic, has a little bit of astringency, all of the different particles that are coming out of the coffee and the initial taste, the initial part of the extraction. This second part of the shot, it's very watered down. There's a lot of water. There's not as much flavor. A lot of the flavor just like comes out in the initial parts of the espresso extraction. Now, let's taste them together, because essentially this would be the first part of the 1-to-2 ratio, and this would be the second part of the 1-to-2 ratio. So this would be a normal espresso. This tastes good. You still have some of the acid, some of the flavors from the Ristretto portion, but it gets smoothed out by the second part of the extraction. Okay, I have a Ristretto shot here and a normal espresso. Ristretto just means restrained, limited, held back. It's the most pungent part of the espresso. A normal espresso has a 2-to-1 ratio. That means that your final weight is twice the weight of the coffee that went into it. Ristretto's 1-to-1. Just, the same weight goes in, same weight comes out. So let's taste them, see how they taste. First, the Ristretto. Whew. A little sour, a little acidic, very sweet. Now let's taste the espresso. You still have that sourness, still have that sweetness, but it doesn't pinch you right here in the sour gland. It's a little bit more muted by the additional water, twice the amount of water in here as in the Ristretto. But it's not as sweet. So you sort of get a trade-off. With the Ristretto, very sour, very acidic. But also sweet. Whereas the espresso, the 2-to-1 ratio, not as sour, not as acidic, but it loses a little bit of the sweetness due to the additional water that's added in order to smooth out the acid